Hey everyone, welcome to today's drawing group. My name is Jason. I'm sure you guys probably know me by now. And today we are live at Relic Tattoo in Horsham, Pennsylvania. And thank you for joining today's drawing group. Let me pull up my intro real quick. There we go. So welcome to Guy Aitchison's Reinventing the Tattoo Community, where tattooers, apprentices, collectors, and the curious are encouraged to join in these live streams, real-world events, share and inspire, and ultimately create better art and tattoos together. If this is working for you, please let us know in the comments and chat, and please tag a friend who loves tattoos. We beam out nearly every day, and with your help, have evolved into a quality network of amazing live and on-demand tattoo and art shows that have all been receiving rave reviews. You're currently watching the Sunday afternoon drawing group, which is usually held at 1 o'clock. Today's kind of a special circumstance because we're on location. You might be beaming in from YouTube, Facebook, or listening to the podcast, but you can always get the latest event schedule and notifications at the official Reinventing the Tattoo community. Found at both app stores, the Apple App Store and Google Play Store, or direct at community.reinventingthetattoo.com. All Reinventing the Tattoo Network shows, art jams, drawing groups, interviews, panels, webinars, seriously, all of it can be enjoyed on demand and found in the library, as well as the YouTube and podcast channels. There are countless tattoo and art rabbit holes for you to dive into. It's perfect for the front room of your studio or to entertain tattoo clients. In fact, we're beaming out 4 channels, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And you can find all of that at reinventing247.com. We even have a Spanish channel that's beaming in on reinventing247.com as well. You can enter to win some goodie bags, soon to be known as the famous Reinventing the Tattoo goodie bag, which is loaded with Cheyenne cartridges, raw pigments, and all kinds of other goodies. We have some staple shows that we usually like to encourage people to tune into. Sundays, usually at 1 p.m., we have the Reinventing the Tattoo drawing group with myself. At 9 p.m. on Sundays, we have the Tattoo Weekly show with Jake Meeks from the Fireside Tattoo Network, Lauren Gregory, and Gabe Ripley. Mondays at 9 a.m., we have the Early Bird drawing group to start your week off right. Mondays at 9 p.m., we have a subscribers-only exclusive drawing group with Guy Aitchison himself. Tuesdays at 10 a.m., we have a live drawing group with Ricardo Sertivant. Wednesdays at 12 noon, we have the Tattoo Now show with Gabe Ripley. Thursdays at 12 noon, we have the Tattoo Collecting podcast, where tattoo collectors from all over the world beam in and share their stories. Thursdays at 10 a.m., we have a subscriber exclusive exercise with Kira. All skill levels and apprentices are encouraged to join, by the way. We have a few ways to go through and join us in person in some real world events coming up. October 3rd through 6th, 2021, we have the Paradise BYOB, where we will be live webcasting shows, and we will have virtual seminars for all artists and levels of apprentices as well. We do encourage you to join us live. I'll be there, as well as a whole bunch of other Reinventing the Tattoo track artists. November 12th through 14th in the Brussels Tattoo Convention, we have Nick Baxter, Ivana, and Gabe, who will all be doing seminars. They will all be beaming in. We'll have some live art jams and some subscriber exclusive meetups as well. February 5th through 6th, we have Reinventing the Tattoo live from the Red Tree Gallery and True Tubes in Columbus, Ohio. May 20th through 22nd, 2022, we have the Hell City Columbus show that we will all be at. Rock River Tattoo Art Expo is coming up on July 8th through 10th of 2022. And July 29th through 21st, or 29th through 31st of 2022, we have the Rubber City Tattoo Invitational in Akron, Ohio with Tony Urbanek. October 20th through 23rd, 2022, mark your calendars now, we have the official Paradise Tattoo Gathering coming back in full swing. At this point in time, I'd like to go through and thank all of the people that made this happen including a lot of our sponsors, including Interstate Inc. LA. You may know Church from his awesome custom sneakers, and his studio is seeking residents and guests, all clean and sober. If you are an artist in recovery looking for a supporting studio or know someone who needs one, on Instagram, you can find them at Interstate Inc. LA. Inkjet Stencils, taking your stencil game to the next level. Take a look at Inkjet Stencils, where you literally have the ability to print a photographic image and stencil it onto someone for a tattoo. You can print stencils from mobile device or computer. It's going to save you time. It's going to save your hands, and it's going to save your apprentices' hands as well. They've got tons of live webinars and free samples that they're willing to give you as well. Raw Pigments, a company that's tapping into the source. It's kind of like Tattoo Pigment 2.0, in my opinion. WorldTattooEvents.com, the largest, most comprehensive resource for tattoo events worldwide. They do a live updating of conventions and scheduling around the world, and how they can keep up with that, I have no idea. Dermalize Pro, also known as Delize Pro in the US. Protect your art. If you're still using Saran Wrap, watch some videos of tattooers and see what it's about. Tattoo Now, technology for tattooers, the leading edge in SEO and professional development for tattooers of all levels, and they're now accepting new clients. So if you need a new website or anything like that, take a look at Tattoo Now. And of course, thank you to the founder and inspiration behind Reinventing the Tattoo, Guy Aitchison, who has guyaitchison.com, where you can purchase his Biomech Encyclopedia, all kinds of DVDs, machines, paintings, prints, an absolutely endless amount of absolutely awesome stuff. Thank you very much for everything. So yeah, welcome to the show. And thank you to all of our contributing artists and all of the people that make this happen. Like I said, today we are live at Relic Tattoo with Rich Wren, who's been gracious enough to go through and do a live demo of a head tattoo that he is getting ready to work on. So without further ado, we are going to go through and we're going to switch this up. There we are. Awesome. Cool. And it's all you, Rich.
Sweet.
Good to go.
Awesome. You ready? Oh.
And just remember, guys, we can hear every single thing you say.
Both of us?
Yeah. Those microphones are pretty sensitive.
All right.
We've got Akshay joining us from India. Hey, Akshay, what's up, man?
Hello, sir. What's up? Hello, Ritson sir.
We can't really hear you, bud. I don't know if your microphone is muted.
Sir, can you hear me now?
Cool. Yeah, for the moment.
I don't know, sir.
Yeah, it's okay, man. Maybe it's on my end. I'm not quite positive. But let me take a look and see what I can do. I should have left that splitter. Oh, well. So that's going on. So here's what I'm going to do. Let's do this. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm trying to figure out the headphone situation here. Let's do this.
At least the fear poops went away.
Thanks, Jerry. Thanks for letting me know. I'm having a little bit of audio issues hearing some people today, so. And what machine are you using?
I am using the Neotat Vivace. I've been using Neotats for I don't even know now. Maybe like 10, 15 years, something. I can't even remember. But the Vivace is definitely my favorite. It's the better motor of all of them, in my opinion.
Very nice.
How you feeling? Good? We'll change that.
Yeah, if anyone has any questions, feel free to write them down in the comments below.
I feel like maybe we should have put a movie or something on. Tropic Thunder.
Oh, Tropic Thunder is a great movie. So we've got lots of people joining us from all over. Claire Williams, Patrick. Hey, Patrick. Deborah Jones. Salute. Hi from CZ. Joe from German Duisburg. Let's see. Hi from the Philippines. Caroline's beaming in from Quebec.
Oh, Quebec.
Yeah. Got Gerald. He's jumping in from Vermont. We've got someone jumping in from France. Kate Bridge says, you're an incredible tattoo artist. I'm an apprentice right now, and I look up to you and your unique, amazing work.
Aww.
Thanks for making these videos. Cheers.
Oh, thank you.
So is this
the first time I've ever
not
taken a compliment and then didn't shit on myself afterwards.
Darren just joined us from Manchester in the UK. We've got Marguerite Holland Newton joining us from Tennessee. Let me see if I can get, just double check the other camera and make sure that that one's fine. Because I think I might have some issues with it.
Do you have brain damage yet?
Hi from Turkey.
Turkey. Dude, that's crazy.
Good luck, Joe. Quick question for Rich. What stroke length do you run for lining, and what's the voltage range you tend to stay around for lining?
So I like 4-2 for all my boulder lines, anywhere from 18 straight to about probably about like a 7 or a bug pin 9. And then for my really thin lines, like my bug pin 3s, or what appears to look like a single liner, I like using the 3-5, the shorter one, just because I don't really need it to be that long at all. Voltage, I used to run on one of those critical atom machines for a really long time, and they don't have a readout. So I would always just, when everybody asked me that, I would always say, I don't know, like pink, because the light changes as you turn it up or down. The light changes to kind of reflect the speed that it's on. So I would always say, like, I don't know, I think pink or orange. Like, I'm not really sure, but I'm using their newer critical right now, and it looks like I'm at like 8 with this, and this is an 11 straight from Black Claw. So for the heavier ones, I guess I'm at about 8 or so. I'm also tattooing a head, and I don't want it to be as weepy. So I'm going to run it a little bit slower than I normally would if I were to be outlining a sleeve or a back piece.
Awesome. We got Raymond Petty Jr. Hey, Rich, do you sculpture lines, or do you try to get everything done in a single pass?
Single pass. Definitely. Like, occasionally, like, you'll see me kind of like drop in and do like a real little, like, quick little thing here and there, but nobody's perfect. I can't get every single line in a single pass. So but I definitely try to do single pass every time. The less damage, the better. The less work I have to do, the better. The less pain you put them through, obviously the better. So one at a time. That's it.
Levin Benley says hi from Turkey.
So
all the world is watching now. Hi from Hungary, from Anita.
Wow. Dude, that's crazy. People everywhere.
I know, right? I told you, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rich was definitely doubting how many people and how many places, the absolute reach of the internet and where it is.
Well, I don't know. I feel if I plan for the worst, then I'll be pleasantly surprised.
I mean, as of right now, we've got 62 people watching live on Facebook. We just had 3 other people join. Hi from Germany, hi from India, and hi from South Africa.
Wow. Joe knows I'll at least be nice to him the whole time.
Now, when you're working that upper part of the cranium, does that feel more like the behind the ear or the upper part of the jaw, like stretch-wise?
So we just had a great question from one of our regulars, Atomic Injections 47. Great question. So he was wondering, stretch-wise, when you're working towards the upper portion of the cranium, is that more stretchy like behind the ear, or is it a little bit more taut? Do you find yourself having to stretch more in certain areas as opposed to other areas?
I think for him, he doesn't really have like all too much of a loose skin on his head, so it's pretty much all the same across the entire dome. You know, I find that I'll pull or stretch no matter what at any line. So even if I don't need to, like, I'll still do it.
Can you guys hear me all right?
Oh.
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
I figured out that I can hear you guys too. So
I have it like right on my throat, so I don't want to like yell.
So what would you say is one of the most important things to remember as you're going through the outline on a piece like this?
Ooh. Don't fuck up. No, I'm just kidding. I guess, I don't know, patience, you know, like I feel like that's true of like anything I do. So if I'm outlining, let's just say like a full sleeve, you know, like, you know, it takes me probably about 4, maybe 5 hours to outline a full sleeve. And, you know, like when you're sitting for that long, you start to feel some kind of fatigue. I don't smoke. I don't take breaks, you know, unless they're needed, you know, or I have to go to the bathroom or something. So I find if I just stay patient and I do each line just methodically, then I'll have no problem. I won't run into any problems as I'm going. Like I don't wipe off a stencil early. I don't, you know, obviously no blowouts, no issues, you know. So I guess patience, you know, patience with anything, even when you're shading, coloring, all that kind of stuff. People try to rush everything and you know, you leave stuff behind. You know, you don't get a full saturation. You don't get your bold lines, you know, you don't get what you're looking for. So I guess patience, I think that's the only thing that I have issue with.
fair enough. Mikey Foley asks, what got you into drawing and tattooing?
Into drawing, or what was the question again?
What got you into drawing and tattooing?
Into drawing and tattooing. So ever since I was a kid, I was kind of already like artistic. I remember probably like in grade school, we had done, you know, a small little project, and we had all these different things to our disposal. We can, you know, and one of the things that we had was like a cellophane, and I was looking at like kind of like a National Geographic, and I saw this couple walking on the beach during sunset, and I drew like a silhouette of this couple along with like, you know, some palm trees, and then I put cellophane, like a yellow cellophane over it, so it kind of had like the atmosphere of like, you know, yellow light. And when I did that, I got like tons and tons of praise when I was a little kid, and that felt good. So then, as time went on, you know, back then I was playing video games, you know, like Yoshi was brand new. So I used to draw like Yoshi and all the video game characters, Vega from Street Fighter and all that kind of stuff. And then probably at around 7th grade, you know, I became a little bit more rebellious, and then I started doing graffiti. And after years and years of graffiti and going to art school and all that, I finally went to art school, to Tyler School of Art, which is the art portion of Temple University. I finally went to Tyler for glass blowing, and I don't know if anybody knows this, but college is really expensive, and I needed money to pay for gas to go to and from, and I needed money for books and supplies, you know, art supplies and all that. So a buddy of mine, his name is Jason Angst. He's a tattooer out of Pittsburgh. He was tattooing me back then, and I asked him a couple questions, and I said, "Do you think I should tattoo?" And he said, "Yeah, you know, I think you premeditate things enough that you'd probably be fine, you know, trying to do it all on your own." So I picked up some things from like a supplier. You know, I guess this would be 20 years ago now, 19, 20 years ago, and started teaching myself how to tattoo. And then finally I got into a shop, and that was it. You know, I graduated college and really put all of my entire being into being a tattooer. And that was it for me. That was the path I was on, and I wasn't going to get off of it.
So Sean Musho says, "Hey, Rich, this is pretty awesome. Ray says she likes the caterpillar you're drawing."
The caterpillar?
Yeah.
This caterpillar?
He said caterpillar in quotes.
Oh. Hey, Sean. He's a really good friend of mine.
What do you think your biggest struggle was as you were, you know, learning how to tattoo and apply the tattoo? Was there one particular thing that you really struggled with the most?
I would say if you're talking to like, you know, 21-year-old me, you know, just getting started, you know, finding an identity back then wasn't as important, you know, like, yeah, there were still those outliers, you know, Kurt Wycombe was, you know, pretty big, and well, he still is, but back then he was like really big, and you could look at him and be like, wow, that style is really awesome. I wish I had a style like that. You know, I wish that I had like, you know, constant, like, you know, information that I could, you know, make unique drawings from and everything. And so I'd say like back then, my biggest issue was like coming up with a unique style that people would, you know, recognize as me and only me, and then come to me for that. You know, I'd say it took a really long time before I really came into my own. So I would say that was kind of a struggle, and it took a long time to get there. That's about it. Like, you know, like patience, you know, if you have patience, you'll eventually get there when it comes to outlining. You'll get there when it comes to layout. You'll get there when it comes to, you know, saturation and gradients and all that kind of stuff. You know, it's just a matter of time. If you really, really want it enough, you'll get there. But like that style thing, like that was something that really like eluded me. And I had, I remember when I was working at a shop. I'll just not say their names or anything, but I was working at a shop, and I said, "Oh man, I really wish that I had a style like yours." guy, you know, like not guy, actually guy, you know, tattooer. And he said, no. You don't want to, you know, have a unique style that only, you know, that you'll be doing over and over and over again, because you'll get bored. And what I didn't know or identify at that moment was he was just saying that because he didn't want to lose his walk-in guy. Like he didn't want to lose the guy who could do a portrait in one session and then do, you know, an Asian full sleeve in the next session, and then, you know, do the names and the dates and all that kind of stuff after that. You know, he didn't want to lose that. So I think he was trying to discourage me from, you know, coming into my own, you know, out of greed. At least that was my take from it through experience. And as time has gone on, that like that's the only rational thing I can come up with why he would say that to me. So yeah, I'd say a unique style that sets me apart from other people. That's been my biggest struggle. Oh yeah. How you feeling, man? Sucks. Yeah. It'll all be over soon. Lies.
So in your experience throughout all of your career, what would you say have been some of the biggest lessons that you've learned?
Ooh. Oh my God.
You know, whether the easy way or the hard way, it doesn't matter. Just, you know, what would you say are some of the most important lessons that you've learned?
First thing that comes to mind, you know, as an owner of a shop and you have, you know, people that you really want to see succeed within your shop, and they don't want it themselves. I think not wanting something for somebody that wanting something from somebody more than they want for themselves, just let it go. You know, like there was a guy that used to work here, and you know, I saw so much potential in him. I thought he was going to be like amazing. And all I wanted was that buddy I could come in the morning and sit down and draw with and like talk about our day and just enjoy all of it. And he just didn't want that. He just wanted the check in, check out, you know, come late, leave early, doesn't want to actually develop a style, doesn't want to improve. I wanted so much for him and he wanted so little for himself. And, that was a really hard lesson for me to learn as a boss, you know, or an owner rather. Other lessons, pricing's always a big issue. Cause like, you know, you want to tattoo what you're worth, but then you create and develop relationships with people and you become friends with them, you know, to a degree. And those lines of client to friend start to blur. And then you start like, you know, cutting them breaks, when in reality, anybody who's sitting in that chair should be paying your rate and they should be glad to be doing it for you, like friends or family, you know, like personally, if I were to be getting tattooed by a friend, I would give them way, way, way more, not expect it to be cheaper and cheaper as time goes on. You know, that's been a larger issue, is like how to price appropriately and then to stick to it. What else? You got to really put yourself out there. That's another big thing. Like, you know, I didn't really start coming into my own until I went and did tons of conventions. And that's when things started getting fun. That's when I started like noticing a change in everything, in my tattooing, in my career in general. That's kind of a broad question. It's like really hard to answer.
Fair enough.
Yeah. You know, then you have your personal hurdles, like, you know, how do you balance personal life with your work life? That's always a thing, but that's not a tattoo thing. That's a life thing, you know? I still find myself being like a workaholic. You know, I come in, you know, 3 or 4 hours early and then I leave on time or late. You know, like I still come in 19 years later and still do it, still grind.
How important would you say working analog? Because I know you do a lot of your drawings, a lot of your sketching, a lot of your tattoo preparation.
Yeah.
How important do you feel that it is in order to work in more of an analog way, as opposed to maybe hopping on something a little bit more digital? Like I know iPads have become very prominent in the past several years. How do you feel that working analog has really helped develop your style, if at all?
Well, I'd say I don't know any other way. I've been, when I started going to college, those Macs that came out that were like colorful, those were just coming out. And it was, I didn't really have a steady place to always have a computer and stuff. And I never really got taught any of that. So I really don't know any other way but analog. And I wouldn't say it's necessarily important to my style, but it probably does influence it, meaning I draw really fast. And whenever I've tried to use an iPad, it slows me down. And then whenever I say that, everybody always gives me the weird eyebrow raise. What do you mean it slows you down? That's impossible. It's supposed to speed you up. And in my case, it doesn't. In my case, it slows me down. I think because I'm not familiar with it, and I have kind of a method that I draw in, and I worked out the thing that works for me. So I can't really say that it would be helpful or beneficial to me to use an iPad ever. It just wouldn't work for me. I've tried from the first iPad I picked up. Yeah, you need some water?
Yeah.
All right. Can you want to get up or you want her to get it? In the fridge in the back. Ooh, let's answer some more questions.
Yeah.
You all right?
Yeah.
That's coming along so nice, man.
So as far as stepping out of
A fighter. Should have one of those metal cooling things on his head.
What was that?
As far as stepping out of your comfort zone, how far do you really like to push it?
Need some more or you want to keep going? Good. All right.
So we also had another very good question just asked. As far as stepping outside of your comfort zone, how far do you usually like to push it? Do you like to just go way out in left field? Do you like to just slowly dabble in certain things until you figure out if you like it or not? I mean,
I think I need that question to be elaborated on a little bit. What do you mean? Imagery out of my comfort zone?
As far as developing.
I have no problem drawing things. I don't necessarily step out of my preferred style all so much anymore. I mostly because I don't want to. I don't think it's necessary for me to explore color hyper realism. That's not going to help me in any way. It might, but I don't know. All that time I could spend figuring that out, I could be still figuring out who I am. Yeah, I'm not really sure how to answer that one.
Who would you say your biggest influences are in both the tattoo community and the fine art community?
Ooh. Well, before there was Instagram, I used to look at James Tex's website and Steve Moore's website like pretty much religiously. And you know, now that there is Instagram, you know, I would say I don't know. I've got a lot of people I'm like really interested in and what they're doing. But art-wise, I guess some of my favorites back in the day were like Christopher Burden. He's kind of a or he is a like a performance artist almost. He was pretty wild back in the day. Now I think he's a professor somewhere teaching sculpture. But I really liked how crazy he was. And he did all that while he was in grad school, which is nuts. I'm drawing a blank right now. I don't know why. Joe would know. Who do I like right now?
In terms of
tattooers.
I wouldn't want to speak for you.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, definitely. You know, James Tex. You know, even though like I absolutely love what he does and everything. You know, like my stuff doesn't look like his. You know, it's just I just really admired his dynamic designs and how bold they are and the scale at which he works in. His figures are really nice. And back, you know, and I will say, like, back in the day, you know, 5-10 years ago, or actually probably more like 10 or 15 years ago, I did like doing, you know, neo-Asian type work, but nowadays I don't do that at all. Like, you'll still see it here and there in my work where like I still do finger waves. You know, I still do finger waves because that's how I like drawing waves. You know, like occasionally I'll do them a little different if the piece requires it, but even though he definitely heavily influenced me, I didn't really use what he has as a guidebook for myself. I definitely still wanted to be unique and have my own thing. And I think some of that probably comes from, you know, the graffiti world. You know, like in the graffiti world, you're using somebody else's flow, somebody else's style. Like people call you a biter, you know, people will fight you for it, you know, and I'm just not interested in any of that. So I'd rather just come up with my own thing. I'm trying to think of outside. Well, you know, Michael Hussar, I really like his paintings, but you know, he's an oil painter. You know, I do like his dark take on things. That's really cool looking. I almost bought one of his paintings. I emailed him, messaged him years ago about the one painting he had called Buffoon, and he was like, "Oh, you mean Don Knotts?" And then as soon as I looked at it again, I was like, "Holy shit, it is fucking Don Knotts! What the hell?" That's an old guy. Feeling better? Well, all the bold ones are done, so you're good. Cool.
Lee Arana said, "What a handsome client."
Ooh, handsome client.
Scootin' Newton said, "Montana representing." We had Douglas joining in from Brazil.
Oh, from Brazil. Joe is Brazilian.
I thought he just got Brazilians. Sorry, Joe. Please don't hit me later. I'm fragile. I break easily.
Yeah, he'll have to stop crying first before he can hit you.
Now that just makes it even more insulting.
Oh. It'll be like at the end of Christmas Story.
Exactly.
You'll be the redheaded kid.
Pretty much, yeah. So Joseph McFarland says, how is everyone, but how long have you been using that machine?
For about 42 minutes.
Since now.
Like Neo-Tats? I think I hit that earlier.
Yeah, you've been
probably about like 15 years or so. Yeah, it's been a long time. You hear that, Neo-Tat?
I mean, hey, they're efficient. They work well.
Yeah.
They've
never failed me. You know, I've had tons and tons and tons of machines over the years. And I'd say Neo-Tat's the only one that I always go back to and love it every time. The only time I've ever like gone away was to try something else, but always came back to these machines. It's they're efficient, they're smooth. Never had any problems with any of them. When I started switching over to RCA, what is that? I don't even know, like 17 years ago now, or 18 years ago now. When I was switching over to RCA, that was kind of a little bit of an issue because the plugs would slip off, and that'd be a pain in the butt. While you're tattooing, suddenly your cord just falls out of your machine. You look like a dolt. But other than that, like I haven't had that problem in forever, and they're amazing. They're so smooth.
And you're still using needle on bar?
Yeah, for outline. I use needle on bar. For shading and coloring, I use a pen machine. I use a mast pen machine, and that's mostly because I want to have several size needles out for when I'm shading and coloring, and I don't feel like setting up like 7 machines and take up my entire deck with 7 machines while I'm tattooing. Like I'd rather have my 3 or 4 for my outlines, and then have 1 for a 23 mag, a 15 mag, an 11 mag.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Use the right tool for the right job.
Yeah, exactly. Efficiency.
And you're using all number 12 standard taper, medium taper, long taper?
I use bug pin.
Bug pin? Okay.
Yep. I use bug pin, so I use 30s. I just like that it like doesn't damage the skin as much. It's that it just feels smoother, like when I'm working. It doesn't feel like I'm tearing anybody up. And I just got into the habit of using them, and that's just the way it's been. I have used texturized in the past and absolutely love them. And I just kind of go back and forth. Some days I'm like, yeah, I love texturized. Oh my God, I love them. Everybody should use them. And then I go right back to bug pin. I'm like, why was I using texturized again?
And you're outlining with all bug pins as well?
Yes. Yeah, this is a bug pin 9. And the other one actually is an 11 straight from Black Claw.
Now, Black Claw does have regular straights and then bug pin straights.
Yeah,
that is a bug pin straight, or is that a
the 11 is just a regular 11, okay. No bug pin. The 11 straight. This is the bug pin 9, so it kind of comes out more like a 7.
And is there a reason why you prefer the straights over, say, like a tighter grouping?
Fat lines.
Yes. Fat
I want them as fat as I can.
Matter.
Yeah, like if if all I had was a 9 or just an 11 without any straight or anything, I'll just take a lighter to it and I'll bloom it out so that it comes out more like a straight, because it is about the soldering, like where the solder comes up to on your needles. So like using, you can't use, well, you can use a round shader to outline if you want to, but I'd much rather just bloom a normal needle into a straight, and it doesn't do what like a shader does. It acts more like a liner.
Yeah, that is one thing I miss about using needle on bar.
Well, you can still bloom.
Yeah, but it's a little bit more of an involved process.
Yeah, you got to like pull the needle out.
Yeah, you have to basically disassemble the cartridge.
Yeah, exactly.
Bloom it, and then put the whole thing back together.
Exactly.
Right. And pray that nothing is out of alignment.
And right now I'm just outlining all with black. I'm going to do some like gray lines in a little bit, but just kind of want to get all these black lines out of the way before I start getting really into those tiny little details.
Now, do you treat your stencils more like a map and like a general rule of thumb, or do you like to go through and use them very strictly for, if there's a line on my stencil, it's going to be in the tattoo?
I'd say more like a rule of thumb. There are times where, in anybody's work, after you draw it, and you're doing your line work to make a stencil out of it, you'll see things where you're like, oh crap, I wish I did this line differently. I wish I did that differently. And you just, you'll fix it at that point. But then also when you're about to tattoo it, and even during the stencil, at any given moment, you can be like, you know what? I don't like that way that is right there. I'm going to go ahead and, do the correct, quote unquote, correct line, on the person, and not care that it doesn't match up with the line on the stencil. So yeah, I would definitely say it's more of a general like rule of thumb, but I'm pretty much following it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. It still looks like the centipede. Anyway, let's try this out. That's cool.
So TC Chapman says, do you ever use fluorescent inks?
No, I own them, but it's more like I own them because I want to own them. But I've never used one before. I don't really see the necessity for certain novelties like that. That's a novelty type thing that, like, like, I don't know what it is. Like, I guess you can say it's pigment, but I'm not sure if it's pigment. I don't know what I'm putting in somebody, So I had, I've been seeing people starting to drop them in their tattoos lately. And, there's that temptation, to be like, oh, well, I wouldn't mind trying that out, but then what? You don't see it unless it's in the picture that you got on your Instagram, or they're at a rave, and then I'd be like, oh, where'd you get the time machine?
So, we figured out by accident that one of the oranges from Fusion does.
Yeah, so Atomic just brought up a very good point. He said that he recently found out, kind of on accident, just like a happy little discovery, that one of the oranges from a specific company actually has that kind of like an iridescent glow.
Derma Glow, canary yellow, and if you were to mix it with orange, will have that glow. You know, there have been times where I've done like sleeves on friends, and then we've ended up in places where there was some kind of black light or whatever, and I've seen their sleeves like glowing with just my normal yellow or my normal canary yellow mixed with orange. You know, I've seen it before. I've seen that effect happen, and it was a happy accident. It's really cool and all, but I've never done it on purpose. You know, it's just happenstance.
Total happy accident. It worked out where a matchstick we did, it was just the flame of it glowed like hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see what other questions we have popping up from the different chat rooms around the world. Ooh, good question.
Ooh.
What is one of the biggest things that you currently struggle with?
That I currently struggle with? I would say having a better color theory. I've taken some turns recently in my color that I feel like were very positive, and I feel like I'm on that road. And I think one of the reasons why I had that issue with color theory is kind of like basically like it begat onto itself, meaning like I would ask the client like, oh, so what are you interested in when it comes to the color in this piece? And then they tell me every single detail they want and how they want it colored. And, you know, I want them to be happy, and I want them to be happy with what I'm doing for them. So then I'll do what I know is not a good color palette just because it'll make them happy. And then, you know, that just keeps making it worse and worse and worse and worse. You know, I just keep allowing somebody else to determine how my pieces are going to look or what colors they're going to be. And that kind of makes me have to do these weird color combinations that I feel like they don't work or whatever, but you do it anyway because it makes the person happy. But I think more recently I've actually like turned a corner, and I'm doing some stuff that people are starting to recognize, and they're starting to actually like those color choices. And there are a lot, and more and more people are going, no, just you do you. Don't worry about me. You know, you do what you do. And that's been working out for me. I've been pretty happy about that. So I'd say, yeah, color. I would say color is my struggle. And if you were to look at my Instagram, you'd say, what the fuck are you talking about? But, you know, color is definitely my struggle. I have no problem putting it in, but doing it the right way or in a snazzy way that people are going to fall for, you know. It has always been like my biggest struggle.
I really like what Faith had mentioned the other day about asking people what colors do you not like to avoid that way, but still be able to choose their own color palette. I think that was genius.
Yeah, I would agree, Atomic. And actually, I think that was Melissa.
Oh, was
who brought that up? Yeah. Yeah.
I'm terrible with names.
Yeah, it happens, man. No worries. Yeah, we had so in one of our discussions the other week, we had someone more or less go through. I mean, we were discussing essentially like different ways to deal with different clients, some of the things that you ask during an initial consultation. You know, how do you go about you know, essentially like drilling down what it is you're looking for, right? what are they looking for? What kind of a color palette are they looking for? You know, and I went through and mentioned the fact that, you know, I'll ask them what their top 3 favorite colors are, and I'll make sure to include those in the tattoo, right? And someone else that was on the session actually went through and said they take the opposite approach. They'll actually ask them what colors they hate and just make sure to not include that, because then they have a much wider range of colors to work with. You know, so I found that to be a very interesting take, but Atomic was also, you know, really elaborating on that. And I totally agree. I think it's going to be, I think that can really make or break whatever tattoo you're working on. You know, if you have someone going through and, you know, they're picking out a color palette that, you know, is not going to look good at all. You know, is that something you really want to do for that person? You know?
Right. And
I have one client that he might be watching, I don't know, but he actually sends me color palettes.
Really, like Pantone palettes?
Like, yeah, like Pantone palettes, and he sends them to me, and you know, I'll say, like, right now, like, not a single one of those palettes has ever matched anything I do. And yeah, and it forces me to do colors, which, you know, I wish they were all successful, but it forces me to do like colors in a piece that I know are not me. And when I look at them, they make me confused. Like, when I see them, I'm like, well, where would I put this color? Like, what, you know, like, I don't think that's going to work. Like, yes, the piece that you found that palette in, that works really well for that piece, but I'm not that guy. Like, I don't know, or that person rather, I don't know how to use these colors, and you want me to, but I just don't know how, you know. And I've done many pieces for this man, you know, that are all these palettes that I would never use, that I don't like even. And, you know, I've gotten to the point now where I'm just like, okay, whatever you want, man, you know, like, whatever makes you happy, I'm totally cool with it, you know. And I've been tattooing him for many years now, and he's a great guy, and he brings me awesome pieces to do. But then when we get to the color part, I'm like, all right, time to ruin it. Time to ruin the piece. It's over. You know, like, the outline looks cool, the shading looks cool, and then the minute we gotta color it, I just accept that the piece is no longer gonna look good. Joe knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I can definitely feel that.
Now, do you still work in black and gray, or do you only do color tattoos?
I still work in black and gray. I don't post them online just because I don't want, that's not what I want for my portfolio. I don't want it attracting more black and gray things, but I don't have a problem doing it. Like, whenever anybody picks a really rad piece, and I'm like, hell yeah, let's do that. You know, let's do that really cool thing. They say, oh, but I really want black and gray. I'm like, I don't care. Sure. You know, like, absolutely. We'll do black and gray if it means I get to do this really cool piece. But oftentimes you won't see me ever post them. You know, I just, you put out there what you want to come back, and what I want to come back is more color stuff. So yeah, I don't really post them now.
So you generally try to make sure that you only post specific things that you're really trying to do more of.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
So I need to quit posting lettering.
Well, I mean, if so, Atomic just made the joke. He's like, so I need to stop posting lettering. And it's like, well,
if you don't want to do
lettering, then don't advertise that you do that.
Yeah, that's what people see you as, you know. They're like, oh, this is the lettering guy. And it's like, dude, I did graffiti for years and years and years and years. Like I'm potentially also a lettering guy if people let me, or if I posted it all the time. But, you know, for the most part,
and you do some sick lettering, man.
Yeah, like I like it. I enjoy it. I think one of my favorite parts about lettering is that there's a sense of control, and then an immense amount of creativity. You know, like an E is going to look like an E no matter what until you no longer make it look like an E. You know, so like how can you stay within the realm of the letter still looking like the letter E, but still come up with something really cool and creative? Like I like that. There's something to that whole control, but chaos. You know, it's fun.
Yeah, if it was all graffiti, I'd be fine with it. The colors and
I guess you could say that about anything
but
we're drawing, really.
end up stuck with like super minimalistic. They want it to look just like a typewriter.
Yeah, Atomic, I completely agree, man. There are plenty of people that come in, but as you mentioned, man, if it was all graffiti stuff, I'd be all over it.
Right.
Rich actually showed me a picture of a graffiti piece that he's going to be doing coming up, and it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like it's more of like, you know, that like space age kind of like techie almost style graffiti that kind of looks like super futuristic and spacey. I saw that and it's like, that's immediately what my mind went to.
Yeah, it's weird how my graffiti is like space. It's like cyborgs, you know, mechs. Yeah, like my graffiti is very mech. It's like weird.
I've noticed you have a lot of very like mech kind of feel to it.
Yeah, it's weird. Oh, it's fun. I don't know, like I could just do, you know, the same wild style stuff that I learned, you know, in the 90s, or, you know, or I could just kind of do whatever makes me happy.
Yeah.
You know, nobody's telling me what to do when it comes to graffiti, so I can do whatever I want. You cannot stretch your leg.
So let me ask you this,
I'm almost
Rich.
on the line. Yeah.
The next question I personally have.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So now we're getting into like the real nitty gritty.
Bring it.
So let me ask you this. As far as your own personal collection of tattoos and people that you've been tattooed by, how do you feel that has influenced not only your style and the type of artwork that you do, but how do you feel that that's influenced your tattoo career in general?
I actually have an answer for that. It's crazy. So when I first started tattooing out of a shop, the one thing that my boss at the time said was, you know, if you want to get good at tattooing, go get tattooed by somebody better than you. And it really, really works, you know, like you see, you know, a different way that somebody thinks of something. You could stare at their drawings all you want, but then when you see it tattooed on you and you see it happening and you get to go home with that piece and you get to look at it and you see, you know, all the bells and whistles and tiny little things they do in their work, you know, on you, and you get to examine it up close. Like it almost like through almost like an osmosis kind of way makes you better. Like you see it and you adopt a little bit here and there. You know, you might go there and be like, oh, well, you know, I've been using dynamic black forever. And then you see somebody using talons and you're like, well, let me check this out. Let me see what this talon stuff is. And, you know, you pick up that and then boom, your black and gray is smoother than it's ever been. And maybe it was just you wanting, you know, you just want it bad enough that you made it work, or maybe there really was something unique in that particular black ink that made you, or that works well with your style and everything. yeah, I think that that's changed me a lot. You know, I got tattooed at that first shop, and that was it for me. Like it made me better, you know, made me realize that there are levels in this, and that those you can step it up just by seeing somebody else do what they do best, and it totally changes you as a person, and to see how they go about it all. What was the rest of the question?
How do you feel that the people that you've been tattooed by have influenced your career and your style?
I would say the only person that I've been like tattooed by that I feel like he and I are super similar in a lot of the things we do, but obviously clearly two different people. I think getting tattooed by Sacred Crow, you know, he's really rad. I really like his work. He's a chill dude, super relaxed, you know. But with that, it was more like a peer to peer, you know. But I like getting tattooed by him. I met Mike Moses when I was out there, Drowntown, and he and I are, you know, heterosexual life mates at this point, I think, online, or at least on Instagram. But no, he's a really great guy. He made me want to be a better like owner and all that kind of stuff. Like seeing how he runs his shop. I got tattooed by James Tex, and I just really like how when I meet that guy that I looked up to, and I looked up to his work for all those years, it just turns out he's just like me. You know, he's just a relaxed, chill dude that, you know, I have no problem being around 5 hours at a clip, you know, like he's just a really nice guy, you know. And they always say, you know, don't meet your idols or whatever, but it's kind of worked out for me. You know, I've been really happy to meet all these people. My buddy Davey Goldstein out in Dead Gods in Oregon. You know, he's an amazing father, and he's an amazing tattooer, and he's an amazing person, and he just is an amazing soul. And it made me want to be a better person, you know? So, you know, I guess it doesn't just influence you in your artistic endeavors. It also can, you know, change you in your soul, I guess is a good way to put it.
So what kind of advice would you offer a new assistant manager that's still fairly new to tattooing?
Sorry, what was that again?
What kind of advice would you offer a new assistant manager that's still pretty new to tattooing?
Do a couple little back here, go straight down the middle, and then we'll shade it.
We just had someone ask a question. What kind of advice would you give to a new studio manager that's still, you know, on the younger side of tattooing?
Studio manager. Ooh. And new to it. Buckle up. I don't even know what I could say towards that. I guess it depends on the environment that you're in. You know, if you're in an area where, you know, you have to carry and be armed, you know, like that could be completely different than if you're just with a bunch of really soft tattooers that, you know, don't come in because there's a quarter inch of snow on the ground and they're too stressed out from the weather. You know, like there's too many scenarios that, you know, that would like kind of change or dictate like my advice.
So we have enough between artists and apprentices that I have both snow
patience and you know, like in the day and age we are now, you know, there's really not too much you have to worry about, like, to protect yourself. You know, everybody's pretty self-policing and everything. So, because, you know, back in the day, I would say like be fearful of certain situations, but now it's like, you know, like everybody's pretty safe. I don't even know. I've never been a manager. I've just owned. I guess like don't get upset when the person just quits in the middle of the night and just gives you 0 hours notice. Like, I don't know.
Now, to kind of piggyback off of that question, what advice would you give to people that still have, say, that are still technically, you know, on their way up in the industry as far as like developing their technique and finding their style and developing their own unique way to do things? What advice would you give for someone that says to someone that has less than 10 years experience tattooing?
So I did an interview with Jake Meeks.
From the Fireside Network?
From the Fireside Network. I don't even know how many years ago now. COVID's kind of screwed up my entire timeline. But I would say maybe like 4 years ago, I did an interview with Jake. And I would say the advice I gave back then still holds and sounds true today. I would say I was told by my old boss, Brian Donovan, an older tattooer gave him advice, and they basically said, go, you know, head for blue waters. And what he meant by that was, you know, there's going to be all these like new styles coming out, like trash polka or whatever, or like, you know, neo-trad is kind of like the new big thing, you know, and all that. And you might not fit in any of those categories. You might not want to be in any of those categories. But, you know, the way he likened it was there's a bunch of sharks in the water. And those waters get all chummed up with all this nasty fish guts everywhere. And everybody's trying to get their little piece of it. And every shark is out there chomping away and going crazy. And he was told to go for blue waters, meaning like, you know, go for the stuff that people aren't doing, you know? So I would liken that to my career. Like when I first started coming up, so I've been in it for about 19 years now. When I first started coming up, that's when soft tattooing started, where people stopped using outlines and they all, you know, not all, but a lot of people, you know, did everything watercolor, or not necessarily watercolor, but lineless. And then, you know, I'm not shitting on that style in any way, shape, or form. I'm sure there's tons and tons and tons of tattooers out there that actually do that style pretty rad and that have longevity. But after 19 years and you see those things come back and they look like bruises or weird skin diseases, you know, like you have these regrets, you know, that you just did something that has no longevity, and that it's, you know, it's a tattoo. It should be forever. Why did it only last 10 years, you know? So, you know, while all those other people were, you know, trying to go softer with their work, trying to do stuff more hyper realism and all that kind of stuff, I just kept doing things with lines. I just kept doing lines, bolder, blacker, you know, heavier lines, more lines. And I feel like that is a very unique part of what I do now is my line work, and, you know, my line variation, line weight, line thickness, and so on and so forth. Like, you know, I just kept doing I kept going towards the blue waters, you know, instead of going softer, I went heavier, you know, the more black, more, you know, and I feel like that helped me. That might not help everybody, but that helped me. And, you know, so I'd say go for the blue waters, you know, do what people aren't doing. Couple little accent lines, and then give you a little wipe down, spray some of that hustle helper on you. Product placement.
Sir, like Rich sir has changed his needle for like
You
finer
hate me
lines.
yet? No.
Yes. So he actually has three different liner setups. What line weights are you using, Rich?
So this is either it's the Hella Fine or the uh, long taper 3 from Black Claw, the 11 straight from Black Claw, and the 9 bug pin from Hydra, I think I'm using right now. Well, not right now, but that I'm using today.
Okay, thank you, sir.
And Hydra you can get from Icon. I like their needles. They're consistent, they're clean, they're nice. Black Claw is just like, I was told by somebody that there's no difference between, the needles, and he had told me he had been to the factories where they made them, and he was like, I'll tell you right now, they're just boxing them up in different boxes. It's all coming from the same place. And I would say I disagree. There's just a quality that Black Claw has that other needles don't. I feel like they use a stronger, they have a stronger steel that they use. And you can tell when you try to put a little bend in the needle bar, you can actually feel it's more difficult to do so. This thing's kind of boy.
Yeah, that is definitely one of the things that I've noticed as well. Back when I was still using needle on bar, it's like they were using a much higher grade or a much stiffer type of steel with, it even seemed like they were using a much more stiff type of solder.
Yeah.
With their pins to hold it on to the needle bar.
Yeah, because when you try to like light them up, they don't move.
Yeah, it's like with other brands, you barely have to touch them with, the tip of a lighter if you want to bloom them out.
Yeah.
But with theirs, it's like you really got to sit there and like let it heat up so that solder actually spreads.
You know what I just did? I just bought a butane lighter instead.
That makes sense.
You get the heat faster. You don't have to get soot all over everything.
Mental note: oxyacetylene is the next step.
See a couple little lines I want to clean up, and then
that's awesome.
Damn, that was fast as hell.
Yeah, well, I mean, so Rich and I go back and forth about this quite often, actually. It's not always necessarily speed. A lot of people will actually misconstrue speed for efficiency.
Right.
Rich is just working in a very efficient way. I mean, he's starting out and, you saw him go through with his bold lines first, and then it almost looked like he was working his way down in line weight.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, Jason, what do you tattoo with, machines wise?
Oh, machines wise, dude. So what I usually do is I usually just take like an old needle on bar, and I'll just duct tape that thing to a sledgehammer, right? Because you don't need a whole lot sticking out, right? But I always have like a good like inch or two hanging off the tip of the sledgehammer, and I just use that to just like pound it into people. I just find it's a very efficient way to like do tattoos. I mean, I usually end up chiseling away part of their bone, but I mean, I just figure that's like another level of tattoo.
That way it's real extra fun.
You took that whole go for blue waters thing a little too serious.
Crazy, Jason, sir.
Yeah, I really like my machine, but I feel like I want to try something different.
Sir, is the live ended?
I believe he was having some connection issues. It looked like it froze up.
Yes, sir. Like you can't see his screen right now.
Yeah. Yeah, even swapping through the screens, I don't see it. I guess he had some technical difficulties. He may have overheated as well.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, I've got a tattoo coming in a minute anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and bounce. But it was good to see you, Cash.
Yes, sir.
Y'all have a good one.